In glorious sunshine with the best freak mayonnaise and beer known to man, we're at Spa for round 4 of the Blancpain Endurance Series, the 90th running of the Total 24 Hours of Spa. Last time we were at Paul Ricard, it was another thriller between McLaren and Bentley. ART Grand Prix had won at Monza, and the McLarens initially had the advantage, but there was a great battle behind as the Santalok Audi had to fend off Bentley number 7. Eventually, the British car found a way through on the outside, and the Silverstone winning car was looking very competitive indeed. So too Mercedes, as the leaders wriggled their way past Ferraris. As normal, there were battles throughout the field as Ferrari, Bentley and Mercedes battled over second place, but up front it remained the ART Grand Prix McLaren that held sway. In the Bentley pit bunker there was optimism, and then the number 333 Ferrari hit problems. That went to the garage as the next round of routine pit stops took place. Bentley pitted first, chasing the sideways ART Grand Prix McLaren. Number 7 Bentley went back on track with the sole aim of bringing down the gap to the leader. That was achieved. A pass was made on the inside, and the Bentley took over the lead of the race. As day turned to night, the Bentley continued to lead up front. There was drama further back in the Pro-Am category though, as Aston Martin and Ferrari met in the middle. The MP Motorsport Aston turfing the AF Corsa Ferrari to one side. The last round of pit stops underway. It had been close on the track, it was even tighter in the pit lane. McLaren came out in front, Bentley back into the lead. Working their way through traffic, it was the British-built Bentley that managed to secure the race advantage, and once in front it started to edge away. Nervous faces in the Bentley garage were soon replaced by overjoyed faces. The checkered flag came out at the end of 3 hours of racing, with victory for the second race in a row to the Bentley Continental GT3 of Stephen Kane, Guy Smith and Andy Merrick, yet again on the top of the podium. A feature of the 24 Hours of Spa is the annual parade into town. It's a chance for the fans to see all of the cars away from the track on the public roads. And once in town, there's always a huge army of people there to see them. There's the autograph session as well, driver interviews and the driver's briefing at the end of the day as well. And if you think GT cars look spectacular on track, they look even more spectacular making their way on the public roads into town. A huge crowd always turns out, and this year, in the sunshine, it was bigger than ever before. All the race cars parked in echelons, a chance for the fans to have a look at the cars, not only in the 24 hours, but some of the support races as well. The drivers busy signing autographs. And then there's the enormous process of taking all the drivers of 61 entries to the driver's briefing, where first of all, they're welcomed by the series promoter Stefan Rattel. And then there's a chance to have a look at the famous winner's trophy, on which are engraved all the names of the previous winners, even going back to the 1920s. Last year, Laurens Vanthoor shunted during Super Pole. This year, he put the number 1 Audi on pole position. Tough opposition comes from number 2. That's got Le Mans winners Lotterer, Fassler and Trellier behind the wheel of the car.
It's really nice to be here with my buddies, and in Spa I really like to be in Belgium. It's always a very good atmosphere here. We are in a great team.
It will be a big task for us. If you see already in the qualifying, it's like 25 cars really close to each other. So I think this will be completely different to Le Mans.
I think there's more pressure on us because we won Le Mans, and if we don't win here, we're the ones that lost this race. I know it's not easy, but I have my good mates here with me, a great team behind us. We try to approach the same way this race and have fun and yeah, be successful.
The Bentleys have been the revelation of the championship season. 2 race wins for the number 7 car. Number 8 has had the bad luck, but hopefully will go better on home soil for Jérôme D'Ambrosio.
It's very exciting to be here in Spa. I mean, it's the first time that I drive a GT around Spa and the 24-hour race. The car, it's great to drive. I mean, the balance of the car is quite neutral. We've always said it since the beginning of the season. Hopefully we're going to have a flawless race with not too many troubles on the car, and that should be good.
We've not seen much of Marc VDS racing this year in Blancpain, but the team is back with 2 cars, and local hero Maxime Martin is looking for a win.
We have a really good car, we have a really good team. The team has been really well prepared. We have a good partnership now with BMW Motorsport. For me, as a Belgian driver and in a Belgian team, to race here in Spa is just amazing. Looking forward for the race and trying to beat our competitors.
Last year's winning drivers, Max Goetz, Max Buch and Ben Schneider, have been split across 2 cars for this year. But they're back on track, and double winner Schneider is looking forward to another really fierce fight.
Our car, it's very, very strong. The reliability of the car is very, very good, and that means there's a good chance that our cars can finish the race. And if you finish the race with a strong driver lineup, you have the chance to be in top 5, and that is what we are aiming for. Audi is one of the strongest competitors here, but there's so many cars on the grid, so many good drivers. It's not only the Audis to beat, but if we beat them, I think we are pretty much in the front.
The weekend started badly for ART Grand Prix when Alvaro Parent shunted heavily at Pau on Thursday. He's been knocked about a bit. The car is being rebuilt.
I had a big crash, one of the biggest I've had, in my career. So it's not the way you want to start the weekend. I've got a small injury on my ankle. One of the ligaments is not great, so it's going to be a bit painful. But I'm going to fight hard for the team, for McLaren, to get the car back up there where it belongs. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I think it's going to be a surprise, and that we're gonna have a good race.
The Nissans are always cars to be reckoned with in Pro-Am, and for Alex Buncombe, he's trying to exorcise a few demons from last year when he had his dramatic off at the top of Eau Rouge. Alex will be quick and leading Pro-Am at some stage for sure.
The hope for the race is really good. You know, we've got a fast car underneath us. Great bunch of drivers in both cars. We'd like to go for the podium in class. You know, at the end of the day, the car's fast enough. As we know, it's an extremely long race. You know, anything can happen. I want to put last year's fortunes completely behind me and, concentrate on this year.
There's an influx of Australians this year in the total 24 hours of Spa, and one of them is a true Australian hero, multiple Bathurst winner and V8 Supercars champion, Craig Lowndes, returning to Europe.
Been here before back in 1997, so although I'm not a rookie, but it's been a long time. The circuit has changed a little bit. Obviously, they used to have the bus stopper in the back section, but the rest of the circuit is very familiar for me. And of course, now driving the Ferrari, which is the first time we've been to this track with this car, and getting our head around it and understanding it. It'd be nice to be on the podium with an outright winner. I know the guys that I'm driving with are, been here before, but of course I've never done a 24-hour, so that's going to be something new for me. But of course these guys are being fantastic and trying to help me out as much as we can.
And no GT grid would be complete without Aston Martins, and one of the quickest is the Beechdean car on pole position last year, and again looking for honours in Pro-Am.
It's full on this year. We've got 4 Pro-Am cars, we've got a pro car next door, motor base, so we're going all out in all categories to try and obviously have success. It's good fun, it's a massive team effort, especially on a 24-hour race. We all have to work together and help each other. This circuit's so hard on the car and drivers and the team, but I think we've got the key ingredients to have a good race.
Welcome to Spa, welcome to the 90th running of the Total 24 Hours of Spa, round 4 of the Blancpain Endurance Series, but in many senses it's 3 races in one, not just because of the classes, but because you score points in this race at the 6-hour mark, the 12-hour mark, and indeed, of course, at the very end. After 24 grueling hours around here, normally we start whinging about the weather and how wet it is and how cold it is. Well, the weekend has had the odd spot of rain, but it has been baking hot, glorious sunshine, real sunburn weather. And if it's going to stay like that for 24 hours, then everybody is going to really suffer, because it's going to be hot inside the car. It's going to be hard work for the mechanics in the pit lane in the heat. The fans love it, but it would be quite nice if the temperature drops a little bit. There is, as ever, the threat of some thunderstorms and some rain. We'll see what pans out between now and 4 o'clock tomorrow. This is David Addison. Ben Constanduros will be in the pits. Let's go to the grid. Stefan has bumped into John Watson.
Stefan Rotell, 61 cars on the grid, the most gorgeous day in Spa I've ever seen. It's got to be a great event.
Yes, year after year, the total 24 hours of Spa is imposing itself as really one of the best and most disputed endurance race in the world. I mean, it's not only the quantity of 61 cars, the quality, and the quality at the top. And they're really going to be an amazing competition between Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Bentley, McLaren, Aston Martin. I mean, it's a dream.
The Belgian national flag waves them away in the hands of Felix Baumgartner. And so the 24 hours will begin at the end of this formation lap. Here we go for the 90th anniversary of the Spa 24 Hours, the 66th running of the Belgian twice round the clock enduro. We go racing. Laurens Vanthoor in the Audi leads them away as they accelerate downhill for the first time, heading down towards Eau Rouge. Alessandro Pierguidi tucks in behind him and gets through the corner safely as this massive pack of cars descends at the bottom of the hill, climbs now up towards the first timing point at Les Camps, and look at this, a road absolutely full of supercars.
Well, they've all somehow or other managed to get through Eau Rouge, over Radio, up the Camel Straight, and so far, more or less undamaged cars. 61 of them making the start into the Coombe sequence of corners, the right, left, right, and then the drop down into what is now known as Brussels Happen, and they're coming down on the exit. Look at that, 4 cars wide on the exit of Les Coombe.
Fantastic sight as they work their way then for the first time down to Bruxelles. Look at this, there's barely room, 3 wide in the mid-pack, and there's a bit of contact, I think, there as well. 96 Aston Martin Tom Onslow Cole using his touring car technique with his elbows out, trying to get through the traffic.
Not a very good idea in a 24-hour race. Might work round Brands Hatch in one of those British touring car rounds. But the field, literally, I mean, there's no breathing space, and you've got to have eyes looking ahead, eyes looking to either side. Behind you, you don't know who's coming up one side. Somebody might try and go around the outside of the Bentley in Pujol. Be a very risky manoeuvre to make, but you know, you've got lots and lots of runoff, and some drivers might take advantage.
Dennis Anderson in the Ferrari trying to gain ground as they work their way down to the pit path for the first time. And everywhere you look, there are cars. Alvaro Parente is charging his way up from the back of the grid in the ART Grand Prix McLaren. It started on the track rather than in the pit lane. That would have at least saved him a lap of fuel, but he's coming from the back of the grid as the cars work their way then through campus, past the educational buildings, up towards the Cours Paul Frère for the first time. And on board in Audi number 2, Marcel Fassler is the man behind the wheel of it as they head now up to the bus stop at the end of lap number 1.
And so far everything's been good, but it's a little bit of an advantage to Laurens Vanthoor. He got the drop on Alessandro Pierguidi as the lights went out. So there is the gap. It's what, a second and a bit as they come across the line. In fact, it's 2.03 seconds. But in all effect, it's just status quo. And they're just watching to see if anybody's going to be brave. First lap, flying lap into La Source. Always a favourite overtaking part of the racetrack. One that often claims a victim.
And there you can see 77, the BMW in the hands of Lucas Luhr, former GT1 world champion, getting up on the inside of the number 18 Nissan that's being started by Wolfgang Reip. This is Wolfgang Reip's view, Pro Cup BMW versus Pro-Am Nissan. And at this point, the classes mean nothing, because with them being all the same spec, when you get the Pro driver in a Pro-Am class car, that's going to be as quick as anything. And one of the Bentleys in the background there got shouldered out at Speaker's Corner, forced up over the curb.
That's always the problem. If somebody tries, or if there's got a problem, it's not been shouldered out. That car's gone slow now, picking up speed right now, but whatever the cause for the Bentley, it doesn't look as if it's had contact, it just looks like it's got a problem.
I just thought it had been forced to one side, but maybe it was the driver getting out of the way. That has got a problem, you're absolutely right.
It's got a right front. The right front is damaged.
And it's number 8, isn't it? Which is always the one that seems to have the bad luck, John.
And dives on the inside. Muka at Katzberg. What has gone wrong there? Has he got a problem? Has he suddenly just lost? I mean, he's let 2 cars get through. Muka now going to put the challenge onto the Bentley. What did Katzberg do to make that happen?
Just wonder whether there was a nudge. He certainly got on the dirty line, didn't he, where there's no grip on the outside of the pit path, but he's dropped to the back of the pack. John, let's have a look. Did the Aston give him a tag?
May well.
Yes.
Just a very, very slight one, enough to unstabilise or destabilise the rear of the BMW. Stefan Muka needs to be careful, because he runs the margins so fine that sometimes it can be overly fine and contact can occur. So Nicky Katzberg will not be happy about that.
Now we understand it is steering for the Bentley. Now whether that was contact or whether it broke and that's why the car was slow, this so early in the race is a disaster.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's one of those events where you can't calculate it, you can't assess what's going to happen. Of all the things that you might have to change on a racing car, steering arms you can do relatively quickly, suspension components, but to get to the steering rack, which is buried right in the heart of the car, probably behind the radiators, it's going to be hot in itself. There's the gap, first to second. It's opened up by 0.2 of a second over the last couple of laps. So Laurens Vanthoor getting control and controlling the pace of the Ferrari to boot. Side by side down into Pujo. Muka's forcing it, and he's done it. Good pass.
Stefan Muka goes through. As he takes that pass, he's being warned about track limits. But equally, Guy Smith did run wide at the previous left-hander, so-called Speaker's Corner, because it's the one place you could see from the old Speaker's box, commentary box, so it became dubbed Speaker's Corner. He's lost a place to Stefan Muka, and he's now into the clutches of Marcel Fassler.
Yeah, and Fassler, in fact, was the car of the 3 that ran most off the exit of Pujo. Some of it undoubtedly is due to running in this close proximity in a high-speed corner. You'll get a little bit of front-end washout as the car loses the aerodynamic effect, the wash of the car that you're following, and sometimes you just have to let the car go. You can't do much to stop it. They're all so close that the only way you're going to get through is if you get the compromise of catching up to a back marker, and then suddenly in the Bentley now coming under attack from Marcel Fassler as he goes into the source, takes this little high road, then drops down, trying to get a run off the corner. He is getting past the Bentley side by side, coming down into Eau Rouge. Bentley side by side with the Audi. Who's going to blink first? I've seen this happen in the past, and it's the Benno. Well, brave, but also respect. Two professional drivers showing respect. But again, behind now, suddenly the Maxime Martin gains the momentum, as does Nicky Katzberg. And Guy Smith really has lost 3 places because maybe he tried to white knuckle it out with the Marcel Fassler Audi, and as a consequence, 2 BMWs have got through as well.
Yeah, Lucas Law has suddenly arrived on the scene in 77, hasn't he, as we ride on board with Guy Smith then, so it's had a real shuffle. Fassler, Martin, Law, then Guy Smith.
Good, and the Nissan goes round at the
35,
yeah.
Katamasa at the wheel of it.
Again, was that an assist? We look to see if there's any damage in the back of the car, causing a bit of confusion for everybody because spun, and there's the damage in the Porsche. I suspect that's what's happened.
This is
there's the contact. Yes, I mean, that happened further around the circuit, so I mean, a fairly hefty thump on the back of the Nissan that damaged the Porsche considerably as well, and well, the Nissan probably only suffered the indignity of being spun around, and it doesn't look like there's any significant damage to the tail.
And that is a McLaren with a puncture. Is that the Parent or the S car? I thought that was Parent.
It might well be Parent. Hopefully Kevin Estra, who's gone back out to solve that problem, the electrical problem.
It's 98, it's Parent, John.
Yeah, and Alvaro Parent is having a miserable weekend. Had a massive shunt here on Thursday down at Pujo, and the car was effectively rebuilt. Now it looks like a right rear puncture.
That's Pierre Guidi, who gets out of the car. But he's done a good stint, hasn't he?
Because he's done an excellent stint, and I think
the car in the class lead.
To his credit, I mean, we all know what Lawrence Van Thor can do in the pole-sitting Audi, but the Ferrari is not a car we see frequently in the pro category, and Alessandro Pierguidi has done a great job, and he kept Lawrence Van Thor honest, the gap never really exceeding more than 1.5 seconds. Oh, stalled by Marcus Winkelhock.
Yeah, reset everything.
That's a disappointment, Marcus, because you've lost maybe 5 seconds. Nothing big shunt, and that's a Ferrari, and where has that gone off?
That's the top of Eau Rouge, isn't it? And is that Mavlanov in the 100? It's the SMP racing car.
There's going to be a safety car for sure, and that's maybe going to take the lane. He's getting out of the car, so that's a good sign. Unfortunately, he's getting out on the side that traffic is coming through. I hope people respect, and some of those cars, the Mercedes there particularly, came up the hill over radio way too quick.
It's going to be a safety car, isn't it?
Oh dear me, falling over bits of the bodywork and get out of the way.
Svakislav Maliv, in fairness, who is the man who's had the accident. He's okay, a bit shaken, but there's not much of that car left.
Well, that is a big accident.
The race director.
Let's look and see, here we go.
Yeah, talk us through it, John.
Well, last year we saw we were a bit too greedy on the inside, got into a tank slapper, loses it, slams. Luckily, same plow to the track. Alex Buncombe, his part, it was a mechanical failure. That was a big hit, but fortunately it was on the passenger side, and there the car rotates around and round, and the Nissan behind so almost could have been involved in that incident. And that's hitting that at the best part of 120 mile an hour.
Our cameraman is currently picking bits of Ferrari off his lens and also getting sponsorship to sort out his laundry bill, because that was pretty scary for him.
Yeah, and he got a shower for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the second safety car that peels in. The cars get to the safety car line and they can now start racing. So one safety car, as I said earlier, peels in at the pit in. The other one,
the other safety car line,
yeah. So that's okay, right. That's fair. Yep. But they've got to wait until they get to the line. Remember last year, the Manthey Porsche overtook too soon and got a drive-through, so they've still got to measure it.
The second safety car line down on the sort of the area coming into Stublow. Bit of rubber tyre flailing in the air. What is that? Oh, a massive accident at Blancpain, the first part of Blancpain.
That's a McLaren, isn't it?
It is a McLaren, and that is a severe accident.
Safety car legend is still on the timing screen. Now I don't think it's gone out, really.
Well, that McLaren is a car. There's that in contact with the BMW who's come into the pits. Was that a Bruce Gugnot McLaren?
I think so. Safety car will be deployed again.
That was a big accident, and you can see the front end damage to the McLaren. Again, similar to what we saw on the Ferrari just a few moments ago. And this one looks more serious to me.
So, safety car 2 peels off, and its car's now released. That's the Skippy Ferrari, the car that Craig Lowndes will be driving, heading the gaggle, as this field then unleashed pours its way into the Piff-Paff. And what a great snapshot. Ferrari, Audi, Bentley, Aston Martin, all running in sequence as they funnel their way now down through campus. 25 is the Gentleman Trophy Santa Lot car. And the field now turning its way out of campus and up towards the Cours Paul Frere.
This is a difficult part of the racetrack. Another massive shunt that we've just seen. Is again in the same part of the racetrack we saw the shunt just a few moments. No, it's not up until Rouge this time.
Well, that's 85 Mercedes that's involved. And what has it got involved with?
Is that? No, it's not.
It's another McLaren. It's the surviving. Sorry, it's 15. It's another McLaren. Safety cars breed safety cars, they say, and that's 3 in a row.
This is what happens when you get safety car interventions, tyre pressures, tyre temperatures, and then you suddenly get on it hard and you get caught out, and that's another major heavy incident.
Somebody else with damage to the front.
Yeah, that's the bodywork that's hanging off the front of the car. We can't quite work out which car that is.
Yeah, somebody else, I've got a horrible feeling it might be a BMW that's been involved in it, therefore. But we'll try and get an outside shot of that. So 66 it is that's got the damage. So that car has got caught up in the traffic. So let's try and piece together all the incidents. This is the McLaren, first of all. This is Ogier's incident. He's off into the tyres.
We saw a Mercedes going through. We didn't quite see what happened, whether that was when he just loses it, hits the barrier. Oh, dear me. But again, look at the gearbox and the rear of the car detached. I think the engine and gearbox came up. There is a sympathy from just getting caught out by being whatever.
Can I offer you a thought? Did the VDS BMW clip the back of it, or was it a separate incident? Separate incident by the look of it.
Wait for these cars to come into view because we haven't got the incidents about to happen any second now. Wait and see. Where is the BMW? There's the Ferrari, the black Ferrari. Where's the BMW? Oh, there we are now. The field was slowing down, the BMW was still on it.
Yeah. Jörg Müller, factory driver, shouldn't be doing things like that unless the BMW, the Ferrari brake too soon, and that's the smoke coming off as the bodywork touches the tyre.
So he's got to make his way all the way down from the top of the circuit down to Pujo. Again, under safety car conditions. There you can see, fortunately, it's left-hand drive, so the ease of seeing what's going on with the right-hand side of the bodywork and bonnet obstructing the tyre, rubbing against the front of the bodywork, which effectively is the spoiler of the car. And look at the face.
It's an extraordinary situation, this. I can't remember a race that's been so impossible to restart. It's just bizarre. Safety car into safety car into safety car, 3 back-to-back.
Yeah, but without sounding clever, whatever, you had two significant safety car interventions, and we did see some of the drivers clearly putting energy into the car, into the tyres, onto the brakes. But you have to remember that there are people out there who are not professional drivers. They're gentlemen amateurs, and they're not going to be on it the way a professional is.
We had another big incident earlier, which involved quite a few cars.
Watch the Ferrari coming through, runs wide, very, very wide, spins, rotates, and then spins across the front of the oncoming field. The two SLSs sneak through, but the Ferrari then reverses backwards. The Aston Martin, big impact, and then watch this field coming through behind. They just bump into one another. In fact, they ride over some of the bodywork suspension and into the tyre barrier, and it has been the time. Look, the Mercedes, the door open, the bonnet, it's running back on 3 wheels.
That's the Xavier Martin car, yeah.
Unbelievable impact.
Now, the safety car is in this lap, we are being told. Just before we go back to racing, let me just quickly read a statement that Von Raan Racing put out a little while ago. It says, and I'll read it verbatim, Tim Mullen, the driver of the number 101 Von Raan Racing McLaren 12C GT3, is out of the car and conscious following the incident. Tim is en route to the local hospital for precautionary checks. That has come from the team to SRO and to us. I've read it exactly as it is printed in front of me. We know no more than that. When we have more news, we will bring it to you. But I know that people are concerned about Tim. That is all that anybody can tell you at the moment. That is what we know.
Yes, we didn't actually see the accident, so we weren't able to bring you the reasons to what occurred. So that is great news.
The other thing I need to catch up on is number 66. The car has lost 6 laps as a result of that zealotry. And that is the Santilok Audi that's second. Greg Gilver has spun and spins again as he tries to recover. Malheureusement.
Yes.
And into the pits he comes, just ahead of Jürg Müller. Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
It's just going off every direction. Gregor Gilbert just did a very good job. This is, of course, the car that I had thought might be a potential #1 winning car. And little incidents like that,
yeah,
we didn't see the beginning of it. Whether there's someone else involved, hard to tell.
52, Michele Rugolo then pounds on. He's currently 4th in Pro-Am. That class is being led by Richard Abra in the MP Motorsports Aston Martin after Joe Osborne's last stint in the car. And 2nd in Pro-Am is number 12, the TDS BMW of Henry Hassid. And then 3rd is that there Porsche, just going through the shot, which has now got Lucas Lasser at the wheel. So this is a fight for 3rd in class between the Porsche and the Ferrari, which comes out of the bus stop on the back of the French Formula single-seater racers. So they go through now with a 1/5 of a second between them, and Michele Rugolo goes for the inside line, picks up the place. Easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, that was a classic overtake, and there was no resistance from the Porsche. And in most respects, I didn't expect to see much defence, because it's a long race, 19 hours and 47 minutes to go. Oh,
another
dear.
huge off, I'm afraid.
That is appalling. That's what it is. That can't back up. I can't tell what it is.
It's
two cars. Two cars have gone off, and that's on the. That is Stabilo, Nicola Stabilo.
Yeah.
That is appalling. A Ferrari. We can't tell what the other car is.
Yeah, and that's going to be for sure a safety car. Straight away, it's deployed.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So that's our 5th safety car, and once again, news as soon as we have something to tell you. So it is, I'm afraid, a brace of Ferraris that are off the road. The race director communicates to the teams so they know which cars have gone off. Treble 3, Vadim Kogai, is, I'm afraid, one of them, and Triple 1 is the other, which was the one that Steve Earle was in earlier, and that had just been handed over to Marcus May. So those are the 2 cars, I'm afraid, that are involved. The field turning its way down through Bruxelles, just to touch on once again the fact that with a circuit of this length, you have 2 safety cars, and therefore there are 2 groups. We talk about the safety car being deployed, but that's out of laziness, really, rather than accuracy. There are 2 safety cars. It's a safety car, period, but there are 2 groups on the track. Michele Rugolo is pitted, Pro-Am leader. That means Alexander Sims runs behind him in Pro-Am, and then Stefano Gai's Ferrari is 3rd. The 38 Aston having dropped down the pecking order a little bit after its most recent pit stop. And as you can see at Spa, a red flag is being shown. The race is being suspended. A race suspension is going to take place. And so the cars, rather than continue to circulate behind the safety car, will stop on the track. The race is being suspended, not stopped, suspended. And so we have, for the first time that I can remember at Spa, for certainly 24 hours, a race suspension. This is Audi number 3, the leading car that is in the garage. It pitted after the red flag. Work was done on it, a drive-through penalty given, the team accepting that, because 1 minute of a drive-through is a lot less than losing time in a real live green flag situation. But it may be that there's a bit more to the story.
Do you know what you got, Vincent? Do you know what the penalty is?
They call us at the race director, but actually it is quite clear in the book. You can come on the red flag, you can come into the pit lane, you can work in the garage, do whatever you like, and then you have to serve a drive-through. That's what we will do.
The new estimated safety car start time to be given soon, so something has occurred that's just going to delay matters a little bit. It might be that the race director is now busy talking to TWRT, and he needs to get that done before we can get the race underway, but maybe I'm being flippant in suggesting that. But the RACB official is there, and as soon as Vincent Voss gets the signal, I think he wants the guys to put the tyres on the car, drop it down and get it down the pit lane, but I don't think he wants to do any more work on the car for fear. Right, yes, safety car moves. So now, if the signal is given and the cars are moving, now he feels it's acceptable that the race has restarted to do fresh work.
Yeah, and they're bringing the car out, and they'll rotate it on those dolly wheels that they use. Then air jacks will go down, the dollies will be removed, and this car was, or what technically still is the lead car, won't be when it does its drive-through penalty, we assume. So they're trying to mitigate the time lost by maximising every opportunity they have within the rules and regulations to get that car reserved or get it serviced and back out on the track.
We go green flag. Back to racing. So we restart here at Spa. It's 20 to 11 local time. And straight away, the pro drivers are on their toes, aren't they? Trying to gain track position, heading down to La Source as they thread their way through. And number 3, Audi, led when it made its drive-through penalty. We need to see where it feeds back in because cars, I think, have been released from the pit lane now. Up to second has come Laurens Vanthoor. Third will be Edward Sandstrom now. And we work lap number 99 in the Spa 24 hours. And we are back and racing once again.
And there is the magic of Spa at night time. But again, everybody now, I think, fully aware that this is an event that needs to be treated with respect, and competitors likewise treating one another with the respect that this racetrack deserves, it demands.
So it is then Audi's 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. The WRT cars, Mies ahead of Vanthoor, ahead of Andre Lotterer, who got into number 2. Lucas Lohr, number 77 BMW. Lucas Lohr, he's currently running in 4th place. Edward Sandstrom is now 5th. And it is Harold Primat that has taken over 84 Mercedes, so he has got behind the wheel, and that car currently classified 6th, but the order will shuffle at the end of this next lap as more dive for the pit lane.
Yeah, another of the Audis coming in. So the recycling that's going on, I mean, they've waited a couple of laps under the green flag and then popped into the pit lane, but
it's number 3 that's back in.
Yeah.
Now,
is that a secondary penalty?
It could be, because are you allowed to do your drive-through penalty under a yellow flag, which is what we had just now when the safety car was still out. So if you can't do it, then this makes sure that it's a proper drive-through. It could be more sinister. Let's have a look.
Well, I think it's going to be a drive-through. By the looks of things, we're seeing the Audi not breaking off, not coming into its pit box, and it's going straight down the pit lane to do a 180-degree turn to go down then the original pit box. So it's been a penalty served under green, as well as the penalty served under the yellow flag.
So effectively, what it has lost is 2 minutes, not 1 minute, because it's had 2 drive-throughs. And just to clarify, you've got to do it under a green flag, so they have done that. But there was also a drive-through before when they were trying to limit the time and do it under a yellow. Quick look at how Pro-Am stands. You can see it for yourself on screen. Aston Martin back ahead of the Ferraris in this real seesaw battle that we've got there. So Laurens Vanthoor is still the race leader. There he is. And turns his way up through the double right at Bruxelles, heading downhill, and we're back up and running. We've got the race then now with the fireworks, and the race on lap number 105 looking at the moment pretty good for Audi. The Spa 24 hours has taken us from darkness back to daylight, but the sunshine of yesterday has gone. It's a grey day, but the fans, well, they're not to be dissuaded. The barbecues are lit, breakfast is served, and the race continues. And we go to 4:30 for the finish of the race here at Spa. That is the leading car, Dirk Werner at the wheel. David Addison, Ben Considouris, John Watson with you for coverage. And John, you said yesterday it was an angry race. Things have calmed a bit.
Yes, it's a totally different event now. We come back to the circuit this morning, and there's a sort of a sense of calmness that's fallen across the circuit. Certainly something I did not sense or feel at the start of the race at 4:30 yesterday afternoon. And the first 6 hours were, I mean, ugly, frankly. A lot of very serious incidents. And I don't know what the reasons were. It just seemed that everybody thought this was a 1-hour sprint race, not a 24-hour endurance race. A number of severe accidents here at the top of Radio, also down at the exit of what was Stavlo Corner now, the Paul Ricard curve, the Tim Mullen, and also 2 Ferraris later. Then in the nighttime hours up at Blancpain, one of the Aston Martins also, a major accident. But things now, as we're coming up to, well, just over the halfway distance, and you can sense that there's a calm, and really the circuit's beginning to waken up. The thousands of fans around the racetrack who probably had a great night, irregardless of what was going on the racetrack. It'll be Alka-Seltzer Central, I would think, right now.
Well, it's certainly been a busy night for Marc VDS. They've lost one car, though, sad to say. 66, Jürgen Moller, we saw in the highlights package, do damage when he went into the back of the Ferrari. And then when the car ingested a rabbit, there was really no hope for car nor rabbit, to be fair. But this, 77, with Dirk Werner at the wheel, now not only upholds Marc VDS hopes, but BMW hopes as well. It's, of course, not a factory team. It's got some factory support and factory drivers in this car, 2 of them. Dirk Werner is one of them. The other factory driver in the car is Lucas Luhr. And then, of course, you've got Marcus Paultner, a Mark VDS regular. Now, this car has got good fuel consumption at the moment. That is the damage caused by an ex-Rabbit.
Yeah, you can see, it's not the damage there that's the problem, it's the damage that's under the bonnet. That is the problem, and any mammal, any animal that you might hit on a racetrack, and it happens particularly in the nighttime hours, at the speed these cars are travelling, will do severe damage. Consequently, that car had to be retired.
And in 7th overall is this Ferrari, number 90, leading Pro-Am. It is the Scuderia Mioma Corsa car. It has got Andrea Montermini at the wheel, 7th overall, and that is a lap up on the opposition. Andrea Montermini, massively experienced driver, and having here to assess the conditions, assess where the grip levels are as he comes through campus, working his way through traffic at the moment. But the Ferrari doing a very good job at the moment in Pro-Am, as you might expect, really. BMW then is in, the Z4. Great looking car, great sounding car this, and when you've got hordes of them on track together, they are really quite a stirring spectacle.
And I bet when you look at the car, you say it's a BMW Z4, take all that carbon fibre bodywork off, pure racing car.
New set of Pirellis to go on. Teams last night were double stinting tyres, largely because they hadn't done enough racing laps to really take much wear out.
Also just interesting, when they took the wheel off, quite a lot of brake dust in the rim. So we know that Audi in particular are going to be changing. In fact, they did change during that red flag period. So I don't know whether BMW need to have the same necessity to change discs and pads, or discs certainly.
They will have to do it once, and the normal word on the street is that between 15 and 17 hours is when BMW will need to do that change. Audi have to change twice. So there's a bit more time to be lost, potentially, for numbers 1, 2 and 3 in that leading fight. There is number 1, René Rast, former winner of the event, of course. And in terms of pit stop times, that car has now made 14 of them, in for the best part of 33 minutes. Number 77 BMW has made 14, but has been in for less time. And the third place Audi has done 16 stops, and that has been in for much, much longer, because, of course, one of its long stops was whilst we had the red flag suspension yesterday evening. So that was an hour, and it was in the pits for an hour. So it's a curious situation, that, but you think it's doing very well, having spent so much time in the pits. But there was no racing going on, so it could get away with it. That was the whole point. And that, I'm afraid, is the Santalot Junior team car that is off the road with damage. That's coming towards the bus stop. 25 it is, and it's Claude-Yves Gosselin who has lost it on his own.
Yeah, and the rear, something came off the car. I don't know if the rear deck came off as a consequence, but he lost it on the exit, looped it round, lost a lot of the speed. You can see the rear deck has gone.
Yeah, that's right.
So whether that was the cause of the incident, it came off on the exit before the car hit anything.
That is the car that did lead in Pro-Am. That's Stefano Guy's Ferrari. When we last saw it, it was a class leader. Now it is way, way down and out of contention. So that's another one for Ben to go and investigate if he can.
That's been in the garage. That's just taken off the dollies to bring it back out of the pit lane.
So Écurie Cos by Barwell Motorsport now lead Pro-Am. So Alexander Sims ahead of AF Corsa's Louis Maciels in the Pro-Am contest now. It's very much a two-horse race, and we've lost from the lead battle one of the Audis. Audi number 2 has recently had an accident and has dropped way, way down the order. And this is the drama that befell number 2 Audi just a few minutes ago. Diving up the inside at La Source, 63 came across. Contact served between the two, and number 2 Audi has dropped to 13th.
So right now we've got 77 BMW Lucas Luhr in the lead from the number 1 Audi of René Rast, and then Christopher Mies in number 3 in 3rd place. 26th is the Edward Sandstrom Audi. That is the Sandrock car. My choice for the top spot on the podium, but it's now 2 laps down.
Out of the bus stop, the chicane with the pit lane, entry lane behind, and then over the timing line comes BMW, comes Audi. 1 second between them.
I will be curious to see what Lucas Luhr does if he tries to be very defensive later in the brakes into La Source, back end of the car, just steps sideways momentarily. I wonder, is he going to be defensive in his defense, or is he going to say, I'm not going to fight you. You've got the pace. You're going to take me and pass me on pace, and it's going to happen coming up the hill over the radio and on the run up to Les Combes. Look at the speed that the Audi carries, and the BMW is a sitting duck in effect for that straight line speed of the Audi.
So here they come, lead battle, nose to tail, heading up now towards Les Combes. The Audi pulls to the outside. Lucas Lohr doesn't really fight the faster car there. Sits back in behind, but there's no point being silly about it.
No, absolutely. I mean, that was what I saw before the overtake, and I think that Lucas Lohr is feeling that, you know, we're going to play a game, we've got a strategy, we're going to stick to it, we're not going to sucker for getting into a door handle rub or a hip and shoulder bang somewhere around the racetrack. So Lucas Lohr has conceded the place. It was an easy overtake, a well-executed pass.
And there is a car that has cracked up the order into now a competitive class lead. It's the AF Corsa Ferrari of Andrea Bertolini, and it is running 6th overall. More importantly, it's leading Pro-Am, but it's a car that has cracked up the order, and now, of course, at the end, they unleash Andrea Bertolini to try and secure the class win. Let me read you the official statement that has just been presented to us regarding Marcus Mai, the driver of the number 111 Kessel Racing Ferrari. He has been transported to the hospital of Liège on Saturday evening. Pleased to report that Marcus Mai is conscious now, reacts to impulses and is able to move his limbs. Mr. Mai will remain in the expert care of the CHU of Liège for the time being. And SRO Motorsports Group would like to thank track marshals, safety and medical teams for their professionalism and efficiency during this edition of the Total 24 Hours of Spa. That is the official statement regarding the condition of Marcus Mai from the accident of yesterday evening. So in comes Audi number 1 then, and door opens. Is René Rast going to get out? Well, I think this might be a case of, do you want to stay in, are you okay? René Rast says, I'm all right, thanks. So, of course, now this puts 77 back into the lead of the race, but it will change back again, potentially on the pit stop, unless it is a slow stop from Audi number 1, and there's no reason to suggest it was, because it's had new tyres put on and everything seemed to go as routine as possible and as normal, and the car is back on track. So it's had fuel, but not tyres, we're being told. On 77 BMW, they've rolled the dice and tried to double stint the tyres. That is a big gamble. It could be a race-winning move. It could be real egg on face. Now let's see. It's not going to be a big gap. I mean, even if it saved 22 seconds, it had lost 12-13. So in real terms, it's only gained sort of, what, 9 or 10 net back. But here you go. The number 1 Audi with 40 minutes to run comes into the bus stop. It's going to be a good finish, isn't it, to what has been one heck of a race.
Car 1 must respect track limits, must respect track limits. Second warning, second warning.
That's the voice of the race director.
Is that coming out of Blancpain? 17.
Yeah. So the message is getting through to the drivers, and they're in the garage. They see it on the timing screen as well, as the two leading cars are absolutely nose to tail. René Rast in the Audi on the back of Dirk Werner. He's got the better traction, he's got fresher tyres, but Dirk Werner is going to defend. They are absolutely together, but round the outside goes René Rast as they head to Brussels. The Roll BMW gets out of the way. Dirk Werner is going to fight for as long as he possibly can, and he hangs on to the race lead. René Rast will no doubt make a run heading down towards Pouhon, and Dirk Werner runs him out wide. He's not going to give up without a fight with 17 minutes to go. This is defensive driving, but René Rast will have a go to the outside line at Pouhon. Is it going to work there for him? Not in the first part, but he keeps on coming. Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. He's going to get ahead. Is he on the run to Piff Paff? Wide over the curb, they both go. Off the road goes René Rast. He has to slot back in behind, and Dirk Werner slides under braking as they go into the Piff Paff. He stayed ahead, but René Rast is right on his tail, and Dirk Werner is doing what he's paid to do, and that is defend for all he is worth.
Watch for the Audi, good traction, a little bit more straight line speed. It's going to be another defence from the BMW on the run down to La Source, hanging to the right-hand side of the track coming down. We're going to watch René Rast trying to brake on the outside, get the slight advantage. No, but makes the cut back, gets up alongside and gets it through, and I mean, eventually it was going to happen.
Audi leads the Total 24 Hours of Spa. Through into the lead has gone René Rast, and Bas Linders, who's a proper racer, does at least acknowledge that. So with 15 minutes and change on the clock, the gamble has proved not to have worked, and okay, Audi may now get a clear run home, but Bas Linders watches on as Dirk Werner in second place powers uphill. Number 1 Audi comes then out of Pouhon. They've still not done the switch, but it's about to happen, I think, isn't it? Because the two Audis, 2 and 1, making their way through the Piff Paff. And René Rast, in a moment, should be able to surge past the sister car. I'm assuming that's what the plan is. I'll be very surprised if they don't do it now with the cars so near the flag, and especially given that Trellier has sacrificed 11th place. They were nose to tail, and now he's 10.5 seconds back. So there must be a good reason for forcing the car to drop back out of the campus. Right-handed they come, heading up towards Blancpain for the last time. And so it may not happen after all, because the number 2 Audi is still going at a pace that doesn't suggest it's going to be able to be caught and passed with a corner to go by René Rast, unless it completely dawdles through the bus stop. Is it going to? Let's see. I think it is. There's the switch. So the photo is beautifully choreographed at the very last corner. So number 1, René Rast, Laurens Vanthoor and Marcus Winkelhock will win the Total 24 Hours of Spa as the car comes across the timing line. The checkered flag is waved right up against the pit wall to celebrate with the mechanics. Rast is victorious for the second time. For his co-driver Marcus Winkelhock, it is a first victory. And for Laurens Vanthoor, the Belgian driver, it is a first win. Second across the line, Dirk Werner, Lucas Lohr, Marcus Pautela. That is Mark van der Straten saying next time we'll do it. We'll have a go next time. Next time it'll be our year. This is the Pro-Am winner, which is going to be 53. The Ferrari in the hands of Louis Machiels, Nick Homerson, Andrea Bertolini and Marco Giocci, recovering from a very early puncture that cost it time. So Ferrari wins in Pro-Am. The Gentleman Trophy is also yet to have the winner home, and it's about to, as the winning Ferrari from AF Corsa comes across the line. Team Parker Racing taking second. René Rast has taken off the crash helmet. He's with John Watson.
René Rast, fantastic drive. I've never seen a drive so committed. You're exhausted. What do you? I mean, your emotions have none left.
I'm completely exhausted. I mean, I cannot find any words for that. 2 wins or 3 wins for Audi, the biggest races in the world, Le Mans, Nürburgring and now Spa, and I was part of 2 of them. And today was a crazy race. The last half an hour I just pushed like hell. We had a great battle with Dirk, and I think it was all fair, and the team deserved it. They worked so hard for this win, and I'm just pleased to be part of that.
Well, I mean, the BMW threw their joker on that last pit stop. They didn't change tyres. When you got that information, you must have thought, oh no, I've got to do it all over again.
Yeah, but I knew the tires would just last 1 stint, and he tried to double stint them, and I knew it wouldn't work out. And yeah, this was the only chance they had, and yeah, it didn't pay off for them, but for us.
And Laurens and Marcus, they're not able to be down here, but what are your thoughts? They shared in this victory with you.
They did a great job as well. I mean, it's a team effort for sure. Laurens did a great start, great super pole. And Marcus did also great stints in the night and in the day, so it was just a great team effort.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, René.
So let's confirm the way they came over the line. 527 laps of racing done. It's a win for Audi number 1 of Laurens Vanthoor, Marcus Winkelhock and René Rast, ahead of the BMW from Mark VDS of Lucas Lohr, Dirk Werner and Marcus Pautela. Christopher Mies, Frank Stifler, James Nash, 3rd. Stefan Ortelli, Edward Sandstrom and Greg Gilbert, 5th. From the Maxes, Bouk and Gertz with Jasmine Jafar, 5th. And Pro-Am winners Nick Homerson, Louis Machiels, Andrea Bertolini and Marco Giocci come home 6th. Ecuria Cost 7th, AF Corsa 8th, HTP Motorsport 9th, MP Motorsport cracking result for 10th, ahead of the Black Falcon Mercedes and the 3rd of the WRT Audis from the Pro Cup, the Fassler Lotterer Trellier car. This year's Le Mans winners 12th after earlier delays during the course of the late morning here at Spa. So that is how the top 12 looks, and the timing screen tells of 40 cars that are still declared as running, but I suspect on classification we'll lose a few more of those as well. 13th was where Bentley number 7 made it to the timing line, ahead of Mark Sang, Fabian Hamprecht and Philippe Salacada's Audi. Then you have Andrea Montermini, Francesco Castellacci, Stefano Gai and Andrea Rizzoli, who will have to go to the last round of the championship, with the Pro-Am fight still raging in terms of points between them and Ecuria Cost. That was a car that led early but had a long pit stop to have a new starter motor. 15th in the end, that car. And 24th, Peter Mann, Alexander Talkinitsa, Francisco Guedes and Cedric Mezard as the winners of the Gentleman Trophy. The winners of the Gentleman Trophy, Alexander Talkinitsa, Peter Mann, Francisco Guedes and Cedric Mezard. Victory in Pro-Am goes the way of AF Corsa, Nick Homerson, Louis Machiels, Andrea Bertolini and Marco Giocci. This is how Pro-Am looked after the 24 Hours of Spa. Francesco Castellacci, Stefano Gai and Andrea Rizzoli lead, but there are 33 points on offer in the final race at the Nürburgring. So Oliver Bryant, Alistair McKaig, Andrew Smith are still in touch, and so too Richard Abra, Joe Osborne and Mark Poole. And the Fab Three here are very definitely Laurens Vanthoor, the Belgian driver, René Rast and Marcus Winkelhock, as Francois Cornelis, the president of the RACB, presents the trophies. And three delighted drivers celebrate at Spa. Laurens Vanthoor, René Rast, Marcus Winkelhock win not just the Pro Cup, they win the Total 24 Hours of Spa outright. A fantastic drive, a fantastic achievement. Now for the drivers, it is time once more for the champagne. Laurens Vanthoor is just such a proud Belgian, isn't he, right now? He's taken a win, he's taken a soaking, but a massive result. So let's have a look at how the drivers' classification is now. Laurens Vanthoor takes over the advantage within the Pro Cup, ahead of Greg Gilbert, Stefan Ortelli and Edward Sandstrom. And although they led at 12 hours in the championship, at the end of 24 hours, Stephen Kane, Andy Merrick and Guy Smith slipped down to third place within the Pro Cup, ahead of Gregoire de Moustier, Alvaro Parent, who didn't score, of course, had a miserable time in the McLaren, Harold Primat, Nico Verdonk, and then Christopher Mies, his third place here, helping him up the championship order. And the new trophy that was given to the event by SRO, with all the winners' names on it, now for next year will include those of Laurens Vanthoor, René Rast and Marcus Winkelhock, and that is that massive, really impressive trophy you can see in the middle as the crowd is being revved up here once more. Big cheers all round for the drivers, for the teams, and a fabulous, fabulous race it has been. The Blancpain Endurance Series is not done yet, though, because we have the 1,000-kilometre race at the Nürburgring to come in September. But for now, from Spa, from John Watson, Ben Constantiouris and me, David Addison, thanks for your company. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the race. We're off for some freak mayonnaise. Bye-bye.